Welcome back to LPBW Update, your number one source for everything related to the Roloff family and the ongoing saga of Roloff Farms. We are diving deep into the most explosive chapter of this family's history, the battle for the legacy. The tension has been building for years, and now we are seeing the fallout of decisions that have changed this family forever. Before we unpack the intricate details of the farm negotiations and the emotional toll it has taken on everyone involved, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are tracking every development, and you do not want to miss a single update as we analyze the future of the farm. The story of Roloff Farms is not just about land. It is about a legacy built over decades, a dream that started with a family united and has arguably ended with a family divided. For seasons, we watched Matt and Amy navigate a difficult divorce, but the biggest question always loomed large. What would happen to the farm? The expectation for years, both from the viewers and the children themselves, was that the farm would eventually pass down to the next generation. Zach and Jeremy both expressed interest at different times, and the audience watched as the narrative shifted from a collaborative family effort to a transactional business negotiation. When Amy finally decided to sell her portion of the farm to Matt, it was a pivotal moment. It marked the end of her direct ownership, but it also set the stage for the next phase, Matt's sole control and his subsequent decisions on what to do with the property. This is where the real friction began. The assumption that the kids would get a family discount or a simplified path to ownership clashed heavily with Matt's perspective on business valuation and market worth. We saw this play out most intensely with Zach. The negotiations between father and son were not just business meetings. They were laden with years of history and expectation. When those talks broke down, it wasn't just a deal falling through. It was a rupture in the relationship. Zach's decision to move out of state was a direct consequence of that breakdown. It signaled a desire to distance himself and his immediate family from the toxicity that the farm negotiations had bred. This leads us to the current state of affairs. Matt's decision to list a portion of the farm for sale to the public was a shock to many. It signaled that the dream of keeping the farm entirely within the family might be over. The listing price, the lack of a buyer for a long period, and the eventual pivot to short-term rentals all speak to the complexity of the situation. It is not just about finding a buyer. It is about Matt trying to salvage a return on his investment while navigating the optics of selling the legacy. Amy's reaction to these developments has been a mixture of resignation and sadness. While she has moved on with her life and her marriage to Chris, the farm was her home for decades. Seeing it potentially go to strangers or seeing the rift it caused between Matt and the boys is undoubtedly painful. Her perspective offers a crucial counterbalance to Matt's pragmatic business approach. She often voices the emotional side of the equation, the loss of the family gathering place, and the change in the family dynamic. Caryn's role in this cannot be ignored either. As Matt's partner, she is often seen by the audience as a driving force behind his decisions, though Matt insists he makes his own choices. The dynamic between Caryn and the rest of the family, particularly Zach and Tori, has been strained. The farm negotiations didn't help. There is a perception, whether fair or not, that the new direction of the farm is influenced by Matt's desire to start a new chapter that is his, distinct from the past. The shift to short-term rentals is an interesting twist. It allows Matt to retain ownership while generating revenue, effectively turning the family home into a business asset in a new way. This moves the farm even further away from being a private family sanctuary. It opens the doors to the public, quite literally, allowing fans to step into the world they have watched on TV. But does this commodification of the family home further alienate the kids? It is a question worth asking. As we look at the timeline, the disintegration of the family farm ideal didn't happen overnight. It was a slow burn of miscommunications, differing values, and changing priorities. Matt values the asset and the legacy of what he built physically. The kids, particularly Zach, valued the legacy of the family unit and the continuity of their childhood home. When those two values clashed, the result was the separation we see today. The future of Roloff Farms remains uncertain. Will it eventually be sold entirely? Will one of the younger children, perhaps years down the line, take an interest, or will it remain a commercial enterprise managed by Matt until he decides to retire fully? The implications for the show are massive. The farm has always been the sixth main character of Little People, Big World. Without it as the central hub, the show has to pivot to following the separate lives of the family members, which changes the fundamental nature of the series. We have to consider the emotional weight of the north side versus the south side. The big house, the wedding barn, the attractions, these are iconic. But without the family inhabiting them, they are just sets. The soul of the farm was the family chaos, the pumpkin seasons with everyone pitching in and the kids running around. That era is definitively over. What remains is a business operation and a family trying to figure out how to relate to one another when the glue that held them together. The land has become a wedge, driving them apart. In the coming months, we expect to see more developments regarding the rental business and potentially new attempts to sell. We will also be watching closely to see if the relationships between Matt and his sons show any signs of thawing. Time heals some wounds, but financial disputes and broken promises can leave lasting scars. As viewers, we are witnessing the difficult reality that sometimes business and family simply do not mix. Stay tuned as we continue to monitor the listing updates, the family's social media for subtle clues, and the upcoming seasons for the official narrative. The story of Roloff Farms is far from over. It has just entered a new, more complicated chapter. We will be here to break it all down for you, separating the rumors from the reality. We have to look closely at the specific breakdown with Zach and Tori, because that was the moment the illusion shattered. For years, viewers watched Zach step up, taking on more responsibility during pumpkin season and expressing a genuine desire to raise his own children on that land. When that deal fell apart, it wasn't just a business transaction failing. It was interpreted by many as a rejection of Zach's potential as a successor. The narrative Matt pushed, that he wanted to be fair to all four kids, is a logical business stance, but in the context of a family legacy, it felt cold to the younger generation. The theory that many insiders and fans have discussed is that the valuation Matt placed on the farm was never going to be attainable for the kids. By setting the price at market value for a prime piece of Oregon real estate, rather than a family discounted rate, the bar was set impossibly high. This leads to the speculation that perhaps Matt, consciously or subconsciously, wasn't actually ready to hand over the reins. Control has always been a central theme of Matt's life, from overcoming physical challenges to building his empire. Letting go of the title to the farm means letting go of that control, and that is something he might not have been psychologically prepared to do. This brings us to the Jeremy and Audrey factor. Remember, they were the first ones to really push for ownership. They wrote letters, they had meetings, and that deal also died on the vine. When you look at the pattern, you have both twin boys who have very different personalities and approaches, both failing to come to an agreement with their father. This suggests the common denominator is the terms being set by the seller. Jeremy and Audrey eventually went out and bought their own farm quite a distance away. That purchase was a loud statement. It said, "We are going to build our own legacy because the Roloff farm door is closed." It was a declaration of independence. Now you have Zach and Tori in Battleground, Washington, and Jeremy and Audrey on their own land. The physical dispersion of the family is the tangible result of these failed negotiations. Then there is the pivot to the short-term rental strategy. When the property sat on the market with no buyers at that multi-million-dollar price tag, Matt's move to turn the big house into a rental was controversial. On one hand, it is a smart financial move to cover the carrying costs of such a massive estate. On the other hand, it feels like a commodification of the family's most private memories. Fans can now pay to sleep in the rooms where the kids grew up. For the children, watching strangers vacation in their childhood home must be a bizarre and perhaps uncomfortable experience. It reinforces the idea that the house is an asset first and a home second. This decision also brings up questions about the long-term plan. Is the rental temporary until the market improves, or is this the new permanent reality? And if it is a rental business, who manages it when Matt gets too old to oversee it? Does it eventually get sold to a corporation? The fear among the fan base is that Roloff Farms will eventually just be a brand name owned by an investment firm, completely detached from the family lineage. We also have to analyze the Caryn influence. It is impossible to discuss the farm negotiations without acknowledging the tension that exists regarding Caryn. Whether true or not, the perception among some family members appears to be that she influences Matt's decision-making. Matt has fiercely defended her, stating his decisions are his own, but the dynamic at family gatherings has clearly shifted. The awkwardness is palpable. When Zach and Tori refuse to have a close relationship with Caryn, it puts Matt in an impossible middle ground. He has chosen his partner, which is his right, but the cost has been a fractured relationship with his grandchildren. The fact that Zach and Tori limit the time their kids spend at the farm is the ultimate leverage. Matt built a playground for grandchildren, but if the grandchildren aren't visiting because of the feud, the farm becomes a very lonely kingdom. Amy's position in this new chapter is equally complex. She sold her shares to gain financial freedom and emotional distance, yet she still lives relatively close and remains tied to the family drama through the show. Her warnings during the divorce that business would get in the way of family seem prophetic now. There is a sense of vindication in her commentary, but it is tinged with sadness. She is watching her fears come true. However, Amy has thrived since leaving the big house. Her marriage to Chris and her ability to separate her identity from the farm has been a major arc. She proves that there is life after the farm, a lesson the kids seem to be embracing as well. As we look toward the future of the channel and the show, the question is sustainability. A show about a farm family requires the family to be on the farm. With the nucleus shattered, the production has to work harder to weave these separate storylines together. We are seeing more individual segments: Zach in Washington, Matt's projects, Amy's social life. It is becoming an ensemble cast of separate lives rather than a cohesive unit. The audience retention relies on the hope of reconciliation. We tune in hoping to see Matt and Zach fix the bridge, literal or metaphorical. But as time goes on, that reconciliation seems less likely. The for sale sign may have come down, but the emotional walls have gone up. The saga of Roloff Farms is a cautionary tale about the difficulty of mixing family, fame, and finance. As we wait for the next season or the next big announcement, one thing is clear: the innocent days of pumpkin season are gone, replaced by hard business realities and a family trying to find a new way to exist when the land that connected them is no longer common ground. Now, I want to hear from you. Who do you think was right in the negotiation battle? Was Matt justified in treating the farm like a strictly business asset, or did he owe Zach a family discount to keep the legacy alive? And do you think the family can ever repair these relationships while the farm still stands between them? Let me know your theories in the comments down below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Roloff family secrets, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an update. We have a lot more digging to do on the property records coming up next week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.